I've been feeling a bit fried lately, and maybe you have too, just constantly plugged into the infinite stream of content and noise that defines our daily existence. It feels like the moment I sit down to just exist, a notification pops up, a thought about an unfinished task nags at me, or a sudden, burning urge to know if penguins have knees consumes my entire attention span. We live in an era where downtime is treated as a flaw, a glitch in our personal productivity software that needs to be patched immediately. I looked around and realized that in our hyper-connected world, the most radical, rebellious, and frankly impossible thing to do is absolutely nothing. So, I set out to achieve the impossible. I decided I was going to do absolutely nothing for 24 hours to reclaim my brain and achieve some form of modern-day enlightenment. I prepared for this like an athlete preparing for a marathon. Except instead of training, I just cleared my schedule and put my phone in a kitchen safe. The premise seemed simple enough. No internet, no books, no music, no podcasts. Just me, my thoughts, and the void of a silent room. I figured I would just sit there, reach a state of zen-like tranquility within the hour, and then spend the rest of the day in a blissful meditative hum. I was so incredibly wrong. Within the first 5 minutes, I realized that doing nothing is not the serene, peaceful activity the gurus promise. It is actually a psychological battlefield. My brain immediately went into overdrive, throwing every random, intrusive thought I've had since the 3rd grade into the spotlight just to keep me entertained. I was besieged by existential dread, a weirdly specific craving for a sandwich I haven't eaten in a decade, and a sudden, intense curiosity about whether I left the stove on. Even though I haven't cooked anything all day, the physical urge to move was almost unbearable, as my body started to twitch, and every muscle felt like it was begging for a distraction, a screen, or at least a fidget spinner. I spent an hour just staring at a picture frame that was clearly 1 millimeter off-center, and instead of letting it go, I felt like my entire moral compass was being challenged by this microscopic deviation. I tried breathing exercises, but they just made me hyper-aware of my own heartbeat, which honestly started to sound like a drum solo in the silence of the room. By the 3-hour mark, I was hallucinating that my refrigerator was talking to me, whispering sweet promises of leftovers and cold soda, and I had to physically restrain myself from sprinting to the kitchen. I realized then that we've lost the capacity to be bored, and boredom is not just the absence of fun. It is the birthplace of our own inner monologue. I started to question if the constant need for input is actually a defense mechanism, a way to keep from confronting the messy, uncurated truth of just sitting with ourselves. As the hours crawled on, I went through stages of grief. Denial that I could survive this, anger at the concept of productivity, bargaining with myself to just watch 10 minutes of a show, and finally a deep, depressive acceptance of my own inability to be still. But then, something strange happened around hour 20. The panic started to subside and was replaced by a hollow, strange, and surprisingly quiet clarity. It wasn't the blissful, transcendent nirvana I expected, but it was a realization that my brain is actually a noisy, chaotic, and fascinating place to be, if I just gave it the space to scream. I realized that the noise isn't something to run away from, but something to inhabit. I finished the 24 hours feeling like I had just climbed a mountain, not because I was physically tired, but because I had stared into the abyss of my own distraction and lived to tell the tale. When I finally unlocked my phone, I didn't feel the rush of excitement I thought I would. Instead, I felt a strange sense of detachment from all the noise, like I was watching the stream rather than drowning in it. I learned that the art of doing nothing isn't about clearing your mind completely, because that's impossible for anyone who isn't a monk living on a mountain. It's about being okay with the noise, letting the random, stupid thoughts exist without needing to act on them or click a button to solve them. So, the next time you feel like you're burning out or you can't think straight, maybe don't just reach for the next video or the next task on your list. Try doing absolutely nothing for 10 minutes, and I promise you, it will be the most difficult, exhausting, and revealing 7 minutes of your entire week. If you survive the boredom, come back and tell me all about the weirdest thought your brain decided to sabotage you with in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next chaotic attempt at being human. Stay curious, stay chaotic, and occasionally, just sit in the silence for a bit.